A strong earthquake hits northern Cebu. Aftershocks continue and an entire town flooded while the office that's supposed to protect it has missing plans. Or relief supplies delayed because of paperwork. People are scared and many are asking, are our leaders really doing what is right? What should leaders do and why? And how do we even judge if their decisions are ethical?
Hello everyone, I'm Sheena Marie Gomez. In this video, I will explore and demonstrate how four major ethical theories can be applied to the real-life events in the Philippines. Through this discussion, I aim to highlight how these frameworks help guide responsible and ethical decision-making during challenging situations. Deontology is a study-based ethical theory developed by Immanuel Kant that holds that the morality of an action is determined by its adherence to a set of moral rules, not by its consequences. These rules are derived from the categorical imperative, a universal and absolute principle. Kant argued that a moral action must be driven by a sense of duty and a goodwill. So basically, deontology or Kantian ethics focuses on doing what is right based on duty. According to this theory, some actions are morally required no matter the consequences. Kant believed in the categorical imperative, which means we should act only on rules that we would want everyone to follow. Let's apply this to the issue of ghost flood control projects and disaster funds. From a deontological viewpoint, government officials have a strict duty to be honest, transparent, and follow the law, even if they claim that diverting funds is for the good of the community. That is still wrong, because lying, corruption, and violating laws can never be universal moral rules. So deontology says leader must disclose disaster funds honestly. They must avoid corruption at all times, and they must follow procurement and transparency laws even during emergencies. For deontology, the message is simple: do your duty, no excuses. Next is the utilitarianism. So, utilitarianism is an ethical theory that states that the most moral action is the one that maximizes overall happiness or well being for the greatest number of people. This means that the consequences of an action are the basis for determining its morality. Actions are good if they produce moral happiness than unhappiness, and bad if they produce more unhappiness than happiness. So utilitarianism is a consequence-based theory. It says the right action is the one that produces the greatest good for the greatest number. Let's apply it to typhoon evacuation and resource allocation. When disaster strikes, officials must decide who gets rescued first, which places get relief goods first, and how resources are distributed. A utilitarian approach would prioritize actions that save the most lives and reduce sufferings overall. So high-risk areas should be evacuated first. Relief goods should be sent where people are most in danger. Medical help should go where the injuries are most severe. Utilitarianism helps justify tough decisions in disaster, as long as they benefit the majority, but it also reminds leaders to consider the overall welfare, not personal interests, politics, or favoritism. Virtue ethics is a moral philosophy focused on character rather than rules, where virtues are good habits that allow one to achieve human flourishing. Aristotle believed that a person's character is developed through habituation and practice, leading to cultivation of moral virtues, which are the golden mean between excess and deficiency. Virtue ethics from Aristotle focuses not on rules or consequences, but on character. It asks, what kind of person should I be? Virtuous people practice qualities like courage, honesty, compassion, integrity, and generosity. During disasters in the Philippines, we often see leaders or volunteers showing virtues through their actions, such as rescuers risking their own safety, barangay leaders staying with evacuees overnight, or volunteers gathering donations. But we also see failure of virtue, leaders showing lack of compassion, slow response, or no integrity, especially when corruption scandals appear during times when people are suffering. Virtue ethics teaches that a leader's true character is revealed, especially in times of crisis. A good leader must not only make the right decision, they must be the right kind of person. Last is the social contract theory. So social contract theory posits that a government's legitimacy arises from the consent of the governed, who agreed to surrender some individuals' freedom in exchange for protection and social order. This creates a system of mutual obligations. Citizens obey laws and pay taxes, while the state is obligated to protect the rights, provide security, and promote the common good. Without this implicit or explicit agreement, society would be a chaotic state of nature. Social contract theory says that governments derive their authority and legitimacy from the consent of the people. In other words, the power that leaders hold is not theirs by bright light or force. It exists because citizens agree, implicitly or explicitly, to abide the laws, pay taxes, and follow governance structures. In exchange, the government has a clear responsibility to protect the safety, right, and welfare of its citizens, ensuring that their lives and well-being are secured. When this balance is disrupted, trust between the state and its citizen begins to erode. For instance, when disaster funds go missing or when controversial programs such as Maharlika Investments Funds are implemented without proper transparency or safeguards, people begin to question whether the government is truly acting in their best interest. Citizens may feel that the state is prioritizing political or personal agenda over their safety and welfare. A particularly striking example of this breakdown of trust is seen in the case of the ghost flood control projects. Citizens naturally expect the government to implement infrastructures that will protect them from natural hazards like floods, yet when promised projects either never materialize or are left incomplete, the social contract, the implicit agreement the state will act to protect its people, is violated. People are left not only physically vulnerable to disaster but also emotionally and psychologically frustrated, feeling betrayed by the very institutions that are meant to safeguard them. In this sense, the social contract is not just a theoretical concept, it has real consequences for public trust. Social contract theory says leaders must act in ways that maintain public trust. Citizens deserve transparency and accountability. The government's legitimacy depends on fulfilling its obligation. Without trust, governance collapses. When we look at all four theories together, we see different but connected lessons. Deontology reminds leaders to follow their duties and the law. Utilitarianism pushes them to prioritize the welfare of the greatest number. Virtue ethics reminds them to build moral character and compassion. Social contract theory shows that leadership depends on trust between the government and the people. In times of earthquake, typhoons, and corruption scandals, the Philippines needs leaders who combine all four. Leaders who do their duty, care about the greater good, act with the moral character, and protect public trust. Thank you for watching. I hope this video helps us understand what true ethical leadership should look like, especially during disaster and political issues that affects our communities.